Hey gang, and welcome back. This week we've got 2 new friends, 2 new generals, and a whole new gameplay. This week I'm playing my Erebos God of the Dead deck. Josh, who you'll remember plays Omnath Locus of Rage, is playing that same deck. Dario is testing out Leovold Emissary of Trest, and Chad is playing Arjun, the Shifting Flame. For openers, I keep a land-heavy hand with 4 Swamps, Vesuva, Sudden Spoiling, and Spine of Ish-Sa. Josh keeps a Forest, Azusa Lost But Seeking, Wood Elves, Taiga, Command Tower, Skyshroud Claim, and Strip Mine. Dario keeps Soul Ring, Lotus Petal, Lightning Greaves, Forbidden Orchard, Strip Mine, Sylvan Library, and Forest. Chad keeps 2 Mountains, Steam Vents, Expropriate, Intellectual Offering, Azami Lady of the Scrolls, and Talrand, Sky Summoner. Dario wins the die roll, so let's begin. With an aggressive first turn, Dario plays Forest, casts Soul Ring, and then casts Lightning Greaves with the Soul Ring's mana. By contrast, Josh playing a Forest and passing isn't nearly as exciting. Chad plays Steam Vents tapped and passes to me. For my turn, I play Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth and inadvertently help Dario. I pass turn. For his turn, Dario plays Strip Mine, which now can be tapped for black mana, casts Lotus Petal, then taps 3 and casts Leovold on turn 2. He equips the boots onto Leovold and moves to combat. Drawing First Blood, Leovold smashes into Josh for 3. Josh plays Command Tower for turn and passes. Chad plays a Mountain for turn and then casts Sky Diamond, which Josh blocks with a giant bag of dice. I play a Swamp and pass to Dario. Dario has another explosive turn, playing Forbidden Orchard and tapping it and Strip Mine, and then Soul Ring to cast Phyrexian Arena. I get a Spirit and uses the 1 floating mana and green to cast Sylvan Library. Talk about card draw. Moving to combat, Dario smashes Leovold into Chad for 3. For Josh's turn, Taiga hits the field, and then he casts Wood Elves, finding Stomping Ground tapped. Chad plays another Mountain for his turn, then taps out, casting Talrand, Sky Summoner. I play a Swamp, and you guessed it, pass my turn. Dario loses 1 life drawing a card off of Phyrexian Arena, then gets to stack the top 3 cards with Sylvan Library. He plays Twilight Mire, then gives me another Spirit and casts Defense of the Heart. Moving to combat, he swings Leovold at Chad again. For Josh's turn, he plays Wooded Foothills, then taps 3 to cast Azusa. He then drops 2 more lands, consisting of Forest and Strip Mine. On Chad's upkeep, Josh cracks Wooded Foothills, finding Cinder Glades. Chad plays a Mountain for his land, and taps 4 mana to cast Glenelendra Archmage. Dario is not pleased. I play a Swamp, and for the first time this game, cast a spell, which consists of my general, Erebos. Thankfully, I put a stop to that rampant life gain that seems to be littering this game. On his upkeep, Dario takes 1 damage from Phyrexian Arena to draw a card, and doesn't keep any extra cards from Sylvan Library. In his first main phase, he casts Bird of Paradise. Moving to combat, having already had a taste of Josh and Chad, Leovold comes swinging in my direction. I happily block with one of Dario's supplied Spirit tokens. He passes to Josh. Having enough mana, Omnath joins the party. Dario reminds Josh very nicely that Defense of the Heart triggers on 3 creatures. We're in trouble. Chad plays Terramorphic Expanse and passes to me. For my turn, I play a Swamp. I then move to combat, swinging my Spirit at Josh because I know he's in a block with Wood Elves. I pass to Dario, who responds to the end of my turn by tapping Forbidden Orchard, giving Josh a 1/1 Spirit. In response to the trigger of the Spirit going on the stack, I snuff out Azusa, paying 4 life. Dario responds by casting Imp's Mischief, trying to change the target of the spell to Glenelendra Archmage. Chad in turn sacrifices Glenelendra Archmage to counter the spell, and things get kinda messy. Glenelendra comes back with -1/-1, snuff out kills Azusa, and Dario starts his turn. Dario takes another one from Phyrexian Arena, and then pays 8 life to keep an extra 2 cards, having drawn 4 this turn. This is actually pretty rude since we can only draw 1 card and he's allowed to draw 4. Judge? Dario plays Maze of Ith for his turn, and then casts Heedless One. He then pays 3 mana to cast Descendant's Path. He equips Heedless One with the boots, and swings Leovold and Heedless One at Chad. Chad responds by casting Impulse. He chooses to take 5 to the face. Responding to Josh's upkeep, Chad cracks Terramorphic Expanse. In his first main phase, Josh casts Courser of Krufix and plays Bloodstained Mire off the top of his library. He then casts Perforos Card of the Forge, and moves to combat, swinging Omnath at me. Dario responds by tapping Forbidden Orchard, giving me a 1/1 blocker, who stops Omnath in his tracks. At the end of combat, using the 1 green mana he made with Forbidden Orchard, Dario casts Noxious Revival, putting Imp's Mischief back on top of his library. With combat finished, Josh passes to Chad. Chad plays a land for his turn, and then swings the Drake token at Dario for 2. He passes to me. At the end of Chad's turn, I pay 2 mana and 2 life to draw a card. I play Ghost Quarter for my land, and then cast Burnished Heart, passing to Dario. On Dario's upkeep, Defense of the Heart triggers, and he gets to go find 2 creatures and put them onto the battlefield. Dario finds the 2 blue and green elf problematic generals Momir Vig and Edric, Spy Master of Trest. Stacking his triggers, Dario takes 1 and draws 1 from Phyrexian Arena, then triggers Descendant's Path, finding Glissa on top, who enters the battlefield. Using his Sylvan Library trigger, Dario doesn't keep any extra cards. Dario plays Command Tower for his land for turn, and then moves the Greaves onto Glissa so she can attack. Super duper. He moves to combat, swinging Heedless One at me for 5 damage to the face, and Glissa at Josh, who takes 0 damage after Heroic Spirit throws itself in the way of Glissa. With the spirit dying, Glissa triggers her ability, and Dario returns Lotus Petal to his hand. He draws an additional card off of Edric's trigger, because who wouldn't want to draw more than 1 card per turn, and in his second main phase, casts Lotus Petals, moves Greaves back onto Leovold, and then casts Palace Siege, choosing Cons. With nothing else, Dario passes to Josh. At the end of Dario's turn, Josh cracks Bloodstained Mire, but Dario responds by putrefying Omnath. During his first main phase, Josh casts Soul Ring, then follows up with Omnath, who causes Perforos to deal 2 damage to all of us. He passes to Chad. During his first main phase, Chad casts Ruby Medallion. Moving to combat, he swings his Drake at Dario, who blocks with Birds of Paradise. At the end of Chad's combat step, I sacrifice Burnished Heart to find 2 swamps. For my turn in my first main phase, I cast Decree of Pain. In response, Chad exiles 2 blue cards and commandeers the spell. With Decree of Pain now fully under Chad's control, he draws 11 cards, and all of our creatures die. Having tapped out to cast Decree of Pain in the first place, I have nothing else, so I pass to Dario. Dario's upkeep and draw step see a bunch of triggers happen. Descendant's Path puts Creeping Tar Pit on the bottom, then he gets to draw a card from Phyrexian Arena, and look 2 deeper because of Sylvan Library. Leovold, who is also hanging out in the graveyard, gets to come back thanks to Palace Siege. He plays Mutavault for his land for turn, then taps it and Soul Ring to cast Chromatic Lantern. Tapping 3 of his lands, Dario brings Leovold back into the fold. Announcing his intent to equip with Lightning Greaves, Chad uses the opportunity to Chaos Warp Leovold. Leovold triggers to being targeted, allowing Dario to draw a card. Dario gets to put Leovold back into the command zone, and as we learned because of this, he still gets to be able to use the trigger from Chaos Warp. He finds Crop Rotation, which gets him nothing. Using his remaining mana, Dario casts Izuri, Renegade Leader, giving me a 1/1 spirit. Izuri slides some sweet boots on, and Dario passes to Josh. During Josh's first main phase, he casts a Morph creature, then immediately flips it, revealing Den Protector. He returns Omnath from the graveyard to his hand. Oh yeah, and we also took 2 damage from the Morph creature coming in. Josh also takes this as an opportunity to cast Cultivate, finding a mountain to the field and a forest to his hand. With nothing else to do, Josh passes to Chad. During his first main phase, Chad finishes the cycle and casts Sapphire Medallion. He plays Swiftwater Cliffs, which would have netted him a life had Erebos not been on the field. Not finished casting things, Chad brings Jori N to the field. For my turn, I play a Swamp, then cast Sorin Markov, using his first minus ability to drop Josh to 10. I then pass to Dario. At the end of Dario's untap step, he uses Strip Mine on my Ghost Quarter. I in turn use Ghost Quarter to kill his command tower. On his upkeep, Palace Siege returns Edric to Dario's hand, he draws a bunch of cards, and Descendant's Path reveals Exotic Orchard. Cracking Lotus Petal, tapping Chromatic Lantern, and Soul Ring, Edric hits the field again. Dario then taps a forest, sacrificing it to cast Crop Rotation. He grabs everyone's favorite, Gaia's Cradle. He taps Mutavault and uses its own mana to activate it, effectively turning itself on. Kinky. With 3 elves on the field, he taps Gaia's Cradle, generating 3 green mana, and then recasts Leovold. Moving to combat, he swings Leovold at Chad, and swings Izuri at Sorin. Chad blocks with Jori, and I block with the 1/1 spirit Dario gave me, effectively negating his combat step. Dario's second main phase sees Survival of the Fittest come into play. Josh plays a mountain for his turn, then casts for 4 mana Solemn Simulacrum, getting him a land and pinging everyone for 2. After he finds his forest, Josh taps 6 mana, then slams down Bane of Progress, blowing up pretty much most of the field. Also, we all take 2. In the aftermath of Bane entering the field, 13 artifacts and enchantments go to the graveyard. With that done, Josh passes to Chad. Chad casts Hedron Archive, which he in turn taps with 2 islands to cast Sower of Temptations. He targets Leovold, which allows Dario to draw a card. With nothing else, he passes to me. In response to his end of turn, I pay 2 life, 2 mana, and draw a card. For my land for turn, I play Vesuva, copying Gaia's Cradle. I then tap out to cast Myojin of Night's Reach, which thankfully Chad doesn't steal this time. I then use Sorin's Plus ability to do 2 damage to Den Protector and net myself 2 life. At the end of Dario's draw step, I activate Myojin of Night's Reach ability, causing all of my opponents to pitch their hands. With nothing to play and not wanting to leave himself open, Dario passes to Josh. During his first main phase, Josh taps out, casting Omnath again and dealing 2 damage to all of us. He then plays Wasteland, which gets him another elemental and deals 2 damage to each of us again. Moving to combat, he swings Bane of Progress at Chad. Chad, not wanting to be the first one to die, throws Sour of Temptation in front of it. Unfortunately, this means that Dario gets Leovold back. He passes to Chad. Chad plays a mountain for his turn, then casts Past in Flames. Paying the newly accessible flashback cost, Chad casts Bribery from his graveyard, targeting Josh. He grabs Josh's copy of Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. He passes to me, but Josh isn't done. He uses Wasteland to blow up my copy of Gaia's Cradle. For my turn, I play Cabal Coffers. I tap 2 Swamps and Cabal Coffers to generate a ton of mana, and I cast Overseer of the Damned, killing Omnath, Locus of Rage. Josh chooses to direct 3 damage at me, and then redirects it to Sorin. Tapping 3 lands and using the rest of my black mana from Cabal Coffers, I cast Skitherix, the Blight Dragon, aka Skittles. I give Skittles haste, and I swing it at Dario, and I swing Myojin at Josh. Unfortunately, this combat step proves to be kinda useless, as Josh blocks with his token because Myojin doesn't have flying despite the fact that it looks like it does, and Dario uses Maze of Ith to untap Skittles. I pass to Dario. Dario untaps and moves straight to combat, swinging all of his creatures at Josh. He deals 7 damage and draws 3 cards. During his second main phase, he taps out to cast a huge Genesis Wave. He gives Chad the Spirit. Dario doesn't whiff at all, and in fact hits 2 lands, a bunch of elves, and Seedborn Muse. Using the trigger from the fresh Elvish Harbinger, Dario finds Priest of Titania. He passes to Josh. Dario untaps on Josh's untap step, but unfortunately does us all very little, as Josh was able to draw Avenger of Zendikar, who hits the field, killing the entire table. So this is the recap. I think Leovold, built outside of the abusive combo style, is very fun. He does a lot of things and he really prevents other control decks from getting ahead. Sultai does a really good job of being able to have counterspells, ramp, and card tutoring, as well as card draw and recursion, so it's kind of the whole package. Mix this in with a couple elves and you've got a really nice deck. It's a shame that Chad didn't get to cast Arjun, because he's a fun general and he's really good at wheeling things. It's a shame his deck didn't do more, but Chad seemed to be really struggling with finding more blue mana. I think Josh did a great job of showing just how strong Perforos is if left on the field for more than a few turns. When something like Avenger of Zendikar is thrown into the mix, everybody better watch out. Erebos is typically a lot more aggressive. I tend to go quite low in life in order to draw cards, but unfortunately Dario didn't let me do that. As a result, my commander kind of just sat there, not letting anyone gain life, which isn't bad, but it's not as good as it could be. Anyway gang, that was this gameplay. I hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to check back every Monday for more gameplay, deck techs, and top 10s. And as always, thank you for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe.